Welcome to Opera Santa Barbara Celebrates Women's History Month. I'm Audrey Yoder, a soprano, a performer with Opera Santa Barbara, and an arts nonprofit manager here in Los Angeles. It's such a joy to celebrate the accomplishments of women, and particularly women in music. So thank you to Opera Santa Barbara for this chance to bring together some of the amazing composers, conductors, librettists, music scholars, and performers who I feel so privileged to know. Women have experienced a wave of support in recent years, moving from 9% to 21% of nominations in the 5 highest profile Grammy categories. However, a recent study of the top 21 orchestras across the globe showed that only 6.5% of the works being performed by those orchestras were by women composers. So if you are a woman who is interested in becoming a composer or becoming a producer or songwriter or conductor or performer, please continue pursuing that passion because your voice is so needed. We begin our program with a piece by Clara Schumann, who was a phenomenal pianist as well as composer and often championed the works of her husband, Robert, who I'm sure many of you are familiar with. So this piece is Liebeszauber, and it's performed by Opera Santa Barbara Christmas studio artist Brooklyn Snow and Opera Santa Barbara principal pianist Timothy Accorso.
Die Liebe saß aus Nacht überall im Rosenbusch und sang. Es flog der Hunde süße Schall den grünen Wald entlang. Und wir klang die Stieg im Kreis aus tausend Kirchen Luft. Und Donnerwipfel rauschen leis und leise ging die Luft. Die Bäche schwiegen, die noch kaum geplätschert von den Höhen. Die Wellen standen wie im Traum und lauschten den Getönen. Und hell und immer heller floss der Sonnenglanz herein. Blumen wollt und schloft, ergoss sich gottisch Gotterschein. Blumen wollt und schloft, ergoss sich gottisch Ich habe zog den Weg entlang und hörte auf den Schall. Ach, was seit jede Stunde ich sang, war nur sein Widerhall, war nur sein
Hello, my name is Brittany Boykin, and I go by B.E. Boykin in the composer world. And Secret is just a very special piece. It is a setting of Gwendolyn Bennett's poem, and within the text, she kind of paints this unique relationship where someone feels like they want to profess their love and they can't, or they feel like they should be together but they can't. And so within that, you have this kind of push and pull dynamic, and I think it kind of creates this interesting dance type feel. And so that's what you will hear within the piano and within the melodic line. So I just think being a composer and being able to collaborate and to set phenomenal texts by phenomenal authors and poets, it's just been a very rewarding experience. I've been able to also collaborate with a lot of living authors and poets, and I just love being able to collaborate and to make these connections with people. and especially through music, because it's so important and it's so very much needed within our communities. And I just love being able to do that and to meet so many wonderful people. And yes, here is Secret.
I shall make a song like your hair. Good woman with shadows green tinged, and I shall play with my song. As my fingers might play with your hair, deep in my heart. I shall play with my song of you gently. I shall laugh at its sensitive laughter. I shall wrap my song in a blanket blue like your eyes are blue, with tiny shots of silver. I shall wrap it caressingly, tenderly. I shall sing a lullaby to the song I have made. Oh, your hair and your eyes, and you will never know that deep in my heart I shelter a song for you. Secretly, gently,
Hello, my name is Sharon Farber, and it is my pleasure to be here today among some of the women that I admire and honored to be calling my friends and my collaborators and colleagues. Thank you also, Opera Santa Barbara, for featuring the voices of women in music, because we truly have a lot to say. I'm a composer of film and TV and concert music. I have 4 Emmy nominations. My music has been performed at places and venues like Carnegie Hall and Disney Hall and Lincoln Center and internationally. And although it's been a very many times fulfilling and interesting journey, it also is a journey that has had a lot of challenges, because I'm a woman in a very oriented male industry, and many times I would find myself alone in a room full of men, which has its challenges, as we say. I also had all kinds of comments during my career that I had to deal with, and what I found out is that the best way to deal with things like that is to be extremely professional, always be meeting the deadlines, never ever miss a deadline, always act professional, respect others, but also demand respect from others and not let anyone step on you. And I found out that when you respect yourself, then others will respect you as well. Women in the film scoring industry are 5%. We're actually down from 6% of last year to 5% this year in scoring films. And in the concert world, it's even worse. And I think it's about maybe 2.5%, which is, it's hard to imagine that in such times we are still not equal. However, times are changing, and they are changing for the best. And as the vice president of the Alliance for Women Film Composers, I see this change happening every day. Every day we're doing everything that we can in order to move forward and have another step towards equality. And I want to send a message to every young, or maybe not so young, or even old. Old is just a matter of perception, right? Woman who wants to have a career in the music business and is hesitant or scared. I'm saying, do not ever listen to any naysayers. Go with your heart and follow the footsteps of those who paved the way for people like me and for you. I had a mentor named Shirley Walker, who was just amazing, and I've learned so much from her. And there are organizations and there are resources today to help you do what you want to do. So go do it. And I wish you all a wonderful success in all you do.
Hello, I'm Lisa Neher, mezzo-soprano and composer. And when I think about what is it like to be a woman as a classical singer and as a classical composer, a couple things come to mind. One is, on the composer side, often being the only or one of the only women in the room. And even though I know so many wonderful feminist male-identifying composers who have been really wonderful support systems for me, we still have an old guard, and sometimes even not that old of a guard. And then as a singer, one of the experiences that I have as a woman is that there's just so many of us, and the repertoire doesn't have that many roles in opera or in oratorio for sopranos and altos. There are just a ton of really talented, hardworking sopranos and altos and mezzos who are constantly competing for the one or two roles, and still new works will be written with 8 or 10 male protagonists, for tenors or basses, male identifying. And, the women are still trying to duke it out for these few roles. And that really gets me frustrated. So that fuels me as a composer to write works for women, to write works that are non-stereotypical, no toxic masculinity for my tenor and bass friends, so that they can also perform well-rounded, interesting, in-depth, beautiful characters. And, to tell different kinds of stories, like the story of Babe Didrikson Zaharias, this confident, capable, exceptional athlete who had a bit of a temper and who also had love for the sport. And I don't think I realized how powerful it would be for me as a composer to see that representation until I started to set Kendra's wonderful words and then witness Audrey's performance. That it was really moving and encouraged me in this avenue of work, that this is really what I want to be doing as a composer, and also the kinds of roles I want to sing as a singer.
Hi, I'm Kendra Leonard. I'm the librettist of Par for the Course. I'm also a lyricist, a poet, a playwright, and a music scholar. And I want to talk about opera specifically because I think it is, in some ways, a very rarefied world, and a world that needs to be exploded a bit. As a librettist, I find that many of the librettists who are established and who are working today are men. And they've written some great things. There are plenty of terrific new operas and librettos out there. But I don't feel like women's voices are represented well enough in opera and in librettos and in lyrics as well. And so my goal is to write works that are primarily women-centered. I want to focus on stories of women that haven't been told, or stories of women that have been told by men. And while there's nothing wrong, of course, with a man writing an opera about women, I think that a woman can bring additional experience to works like that. I'm a big proponent of the hashtag Own Voices movement, which started out in literature, particularly in fiction, and its mission is to make it normal that people are writing from their own experiences, and they are not appropriating other experiences or writing about the lives of people from cultures that they haven't themselves experienced. So this has led to greater numbers of Black authors being published, Black women, trans writers, queer writers. And I think that's really important to bring that into the opera world as well. Own Voices provides us a way of learning new stories and thinking of narrative and thinking of what's going on the opera stage in ways that we might not if the creative duo is always two men, and particularly two white men, which is what's really common in the opera world. So that's part of my my goal in working in opera and working in writing libretti and finding topics for libretti, that I believe that I can bring my own experiences to as a woman who's a writer, as someone who is disabled, as someone who is autistic, as someone who is bi. These are all aspects that I can bring that other writers might not be able to. So especially in writing about Babe Didrikson for Par for the Course, you know, here's a woman who's an athlete. She's certainly a much better athlete than I ever was, but I was a competitive athlete for a very long time. She's a woman who has been derided for her looks. She was called mannish. She was told that she did not have the grace and elegance of women. She's someone who had to live a bit of a double life. She was married to a man, George Saharis, but she also had a lover, Betty Dodds, a fellow golfer, with whom she lived for many years, right up to the end of her life. So there was a lot in Babe that I felt like I could sympathize with. She resonated with me in a lot of ways. And overall, as a woman in arts, I think this is the work we need to be doing. We need to be telling the stories of women. We need to be putting women center stage, not as seductresses or as victims, but as women with real agency and autonomy.
What? They're not gonna let me play in the US Open. They're scared I beat half the men. They're scared I beat half of the men. I could beat 'em with a javelin instead of a 9-iron. Oh, I've won every women's tourney, most more than once. Oh, you think that I should stay at home waiting by the phone, all prettied up? I've won 2 Olympic golds and set world records. What have you done? Really? Women athletes are unnatural. Yeah, does!
Hi, I'm Ellen Mandel, and I want to tell you a little bit about my life as a woman in music. First of all, I'm a human in music. I just love music, and I love doing this for my career. I love playing and performing and rehearsing and composing and practicing, all of it. So that's number one. I've been very lucky that in my theater composing career, I've worked almost 100% with directors, other designers, actors, who, in a very gender-neutral way. They wanted my music, I create my music, we collaborate as a team. We're all artists working together. We don't care how we identify. It's all about creating the best art possible, the best theater possible. And it's a delight to work with a team that way. The show is coming to opening. You have to get your stuff done. We're collaborating. The lights and the music go together. The underscoring under some actors, the introduction, all of it comes together in a beautiful way. In the past, as an art song composer, I've written a lot of art songs, and I would notice that many of the recitals that I would love to have my music on had almost 100% music by male composers. But recently, in the past couple of years, people are seeking specifically music by women, including art songs. And I find that a lot of singers have discovered my music because they were out looking for music by women. And that's a great advance for this woman in music, and I think for many other women in music. It's a wonderful, wonderful new trend.
Hello, my name is Jessica Gonzalez-Rodriguez, and I am honored to be part of Opera Santa Barbara's tribute to Women's History Month. I have been a member of the Opera Santa Barbara Chorus since 2018, and I will be singing Grey Room by contemporary female composer Ellen Mandel. I feel very lucky to live in a time where we have much more female representation in opera and in the classical world, and that we get to sing more and more of these fabulous compositions by these wonderful female composers and artists from all over the world. And I only hope that this kind of representation continues to grow and flourish as time goes on, and that we get more of an opportunity to sing great works like this. So please enjoy Grey Room by Ellen Mandel.
Although you sit in a room that is grey, except for the silver of the straw paper, and pick at your pale white gown, or lift one of the green beads of your necklace to let it fall, or gaze at your green fan, printed with red branches of a red willow. Or with one finger move the leaf in the bowl, the leaf that has fallen from the branches of the forsythia beside you. What is all this? I know how furiously your heart is beating. I know how furiously your heart is beating.
My name is Mercedes Juan Musotto, and I am an opera conductor and pianist. I started 10 years ago. I conducted my first opera 10 years ago. When I decided to become an opera conductor, I knew this was not going to be easy because this is a male-dominant career. But I just didn't care. I knew that I was driven by my passion and my knowledge. I was going to be okay. I remember the first time I stood in front of an orchestra. I was looking at all these professional musicians' faces, and they were probably thinking, is she going to be okay? Where is it that she finds her strength? And I knew it from the first moment. I knew that if I stayed strong and if I was driven by my knowledge and passion, I was going to be okay. This is Women Empowerment Month, and I want to make sure all the female leaders and conductors out there are following their passions and staying strong, because if this is possible for me, it's possible for anyone.
Florence Price holds a special place in music history as the first Black woman composer to have a piece premiered by a major symphony orchestra in the United States. On June 15, 1933, the Civic Orchestra of Chicago premiered her piece, Symphony No. 1 in E minor. The piece you'll hear on this program is entitled Sympathy to Florence, My Daughter. She dedicated the piece to her daughter, and the text describes the desire to be free of the restraints that surround you, whether they be societal or self-imposed, and the desire to send up your voice as a last plea for freedom.
Hila Plitmann, and I am so absolutely thrilled and honored to be a part of this Women's History Month with the Santa Barbara Opera. You'll be hearing one of my favorite works called Miriam. This is a movement from Andrea Clearfield's Oratorio called Women of Valor, which is actually about women, all of it, about biblical women. And this is from a gala with the Los Angeles Jewish Symphony, performed a few years back with conductor Noreen Green, who is phenomenal, and one of my dearest friends. That is something, an element of wonder that I've experienced in my life and has followed me in my life, which is that, I'm so utterly grateful for all the extraordinary women that circulate my life, both personally and professionally. And even in the most professional settings, I have discovered again and again that the connection becomes one of deepest friendship. As a woman in the arts, it's been a journey. It's always this fascinating journey, and for me, it mainly hones around the idea of allowance, self-discovery, allowance of sharing inner gifts, of allowing your gifts to shine, and truly opening up the expressivity that you have to the world.
My journey to becoming a conductor is not traditional. As a little girl, I didn't dream of being an orchestral conductor. I played piano since I was 5 years old, and I sang in the school choirs, and I played a little percussion in the orchestra. And when I got to high school, I was very involved in the high school choral program, and my music teachers would take note and realized I had some leadership qualities and would ask me to help out, which I did. And so when I was looking for a career path, I thought, this is what I want to do. And so I went for a degree in music education, and with the goal of becoming a high school choral director, which I did. And after a couple of years, I decided I wanted more. So I went back to school and I got my master's and I got my doctorate. And then my career goal was to be a tenured professor. And I was very fortunate because for 10 years, I was the assistant professor of music at a wonderful college, and I got to conduct pit orchestras for the main stage musicals. And so I was combining my love of choral music and orchestral music, and at the same time was the music director of some large synagogues in Los Angeles here. After I did all that, I wanted another change, and I wanted to really explore orchestral conducting. And so I applied and was accepted to the Aspen Summer Music School. And there I met Maestro Murray Sidlin. And he's the one who really changed my direction and said that I should start an orchestra with Jewish themes. That was my passion. And so the Los Angeles Jewish Symphony was born, and here we are 27 years later. It's been an incredible journey, and I've been very fortunate because I've had the support of many men and many women that have allowed me to do whatever I want to do. And one of those passions is to commission women composers.
Thank you so much for including Miriam's dance from my Women of Valor Oratorio in this program. It's an honor to have my work alongside the works of many wonderful colleagues. I wrote Women of Valor over 20 years ago, and it remains a piece very close to my heart. It was commissioned by my dear friend, Dr. Noreen Green, Artistic Director of the Los Angeles Jewish Symphony, and it was premiered at Royce Hall in April of 2000 and recorded in 2017. The oratorio is an hour long and set to text by women writers in both poems and prose. The 10 arias and duets highlight the stories of women from the Old Testament. The inspiration for this piece came from a midrash, biblical commentary on Proverbs, which likens each line of the text from Proverbs 31 to a biblical woman. Proverbs 31, a woman of valor, in Hebrew, Eshet Chayil, expounds upon the virtues of women and embodies many layers of interpretation. The recitatives in Women of Valor are set to the biblical texts. Their corresponding biblical women became the subjects for the arias and duets. The centerpiece of the work, Miriam's Dance, also used as an encore, is set to poetry by Alicia Ostriker with spoken words by Ellen Frankel. It was inspired by the biblical heroine Miriam, who led the women in song and dance after the crossing of the Red Sea. Portions of ancient melodic patterns called tropes sung to the Torah can be heard in Miriam's dance. Among the tropes woven through the dance is the melodic pattern that's traditionally chanted to Miriam's Song of the Sea in the book of Exodus. You can hear it layered in the opening of the piece. I wanted to write this work because in the mid-1990s when I started it, there was very little discussion about women in the Bible. My own inability to find a woman's voice in standard Judaic texts and ritual during my youth was a key motivation to choose this topic. I wanted to give voice to these women in a celebratory piece of music. I was also interested in writing a piece that highlighted women because in my early teens, I didn't know that women could write music. I didn't know of women composers, didn't see them in the textbooks, and I wasn't exposed to their music. I was writing music down, but didn't think of myself as a composer. I feel so fortunate to have met a great composer of vocal music and opera who paved the way for me and so many women, Margaret Garwood, who encouraged me to pursue composition, to listen to my own voice, and who became my beloved mentor for almost 40 years. What a beautiful experience it was to collaborate with a woman conductor, women soloists, a woman narrator, and women writers during the creation of Women of Valor. I'm so honored that Audrey Yoder chose this excerpt for Opera Santa Barbara's Women's History Month program. A huge thank you to Maestro Green, Hila Plitmann, and to all of the performers. I hope that you enjoy the work. Thank you.
Nurture their desires and encourage them when their spirits flag. Mine is the voice of joy, of victory, of power. I prophesy the redemption of all of our people. My vision is clear and limitless. I see to the last generation.